NukeZone is back and college football is not. Okay, we are in the off season. It is a crappy time because we don't have games every Saturday, man. But before we dive into the whole off season drama, I gotta give a shout out to Coach Signetti in Indiana once again. Okay, the national champions, undefeated in a time where you're not supposed to have undefeated teams, right? And he took the worst Power 4 team in the history of college football and made them a national champion in 2 years. He deserves the utmost credit. And I mean, it's one of the greatest feats, I think, in my lifetime in college football and what he had done. Okay. You took Indiana from being Indiana. In year one, you had them in the playoffs. In year two, you won a natty, undefeated natty. Okay. And you knocked off the big dogs. Like you knocked off Alabama. You knocked off Ohio State. You beat the U in the natty. Okay. He beat great football teams because his team was great. They were the best of the 25-26 college football season. Okay. Do a job type team, extremely high effort, hardworking, do the little things, unselfish team, man. And all the credit to him. Now, that's over. How does Indiana and Coach Sig move on moving forward? And can he do it again? Can he repeat? Okay. But let's dive into the transfer portal mayhem, man. Like Luke Farrelly, Clemson, Ole Miss, that whole debacle. You got Darian Mensah on the Duke Miami debacle. You have the Demon Williams, I'm leaving, I'm staying, I'm leaving, I'm staying scenario, man. What is going on? We got to get this fixed. Okay. I am all for chaos, but there comes a time where we got to do something about it because there is no rules. This is the Wild West. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. Okay. Farrelly was at Clemson, and then, hey, you want $1 million more? Come to Ole Miss. Okay. Darian Mensah's getting sued by Duke. He's at Miami now, but he's getting sued by Duke. Demon Williams was going to sue Washington to go to possibly LSU, and then now he's coming back. How does the locker room respond to that? There's so many factors in college football now that are absolutely wild. I only touched on 3 of them. Okay, like there is so many times it's like tampering is at an all-time high possibly, and there's no rules to it. All right, so why not? Like, if there's no rules, hell yeah, I'm gonna do it. I don't blame you. So like, we got to get this under control. Simple as that, and it just needs to be controlled chaos. Okay, controlled chaos is better for the sport. All right, don't get me like the off season sucks, and like I have a love-hate relationship with the transfer. I hate all these guys transferring, but I also love it because it gives me something to do during the off season. All right, I love the chaos. I love the aspect of building your team, kind of like in a pro style format of free agency. But I also hate it because college football is supposed to be you pick a school, it means something to you, and you go there and you develop for 3 or 4 years and you become an NFL player potentially. Okay. And that's kind of gone. Okay. You might go a year here, year there, year here, year there. And like, you're going to be doing your introduction. You have to at NFL Sunday and say a different team every Sunday night. All right. But I think it needs to be controlled. Like something's got to happen, and sooner or later it will. Okay, like it's not just going to go blank for this whole time. Something will be figured out, I'm sure. But at the moment we're at, if it makes sense, it doesn't make sense at all. Okay. But let's go ahead and talk about a few portal ads. Okay, like Indiana. I'm going off on 3 stuff. Okay, Indiana had the number 1 class according to on 3. I mean, they brought in 17 guys. They only lost 10. Okay. But the biggest pieces that they brought in to me is Josh Hoover and Nick Marsh, right? You lose the Heisman winner, Fernando Mendoza. You lose your number 1 wide receiver, Omar Cooper. But Josh Hoover is one of the best passers in the country. Nick Marsh is one of the most talented receivers in the country. You just don't know about him because he played at Michigan State. Okay. And in that scheme, in that system, and how this team operates, whew, and that's only 2 guys they added. Okay. They added a couple of edges from Kansas State. Like, could be looking at a repeat. Like you easily could be looking at a repeat if you get the same style of production and that system stays in place and you keep the same unselfishness, do a job type team. Indiana could do something special, man. Because I really like Josh Hoover. I really like Nick Marsh. You bring in the offensive line from Wisconsin and Brunner. They might have reloaded and done it, do it again, man. That could be something special there. We'll see how they develop what they already had there and how they react to what they lost and how these new guys coming in respond to the system. Okay. And then Texas Tech, man, they rebuilt the defensive line. Last offseason, they went into the portal and they spent some money. They got Romello Height. They got David Bailey. They got Lee Hunter. And they had a dominant defensive line. Their defensive line was solid. The defense was great, honestly. All right. And they dominated the Big 12. And I think they loaded back up in a way that they could do that again. They got the defensive line again. They got Trey White from San Diego State. They got Adam Trick from Miami, Ohio. All right. They got the defensive tackle from Wake Forest. They got the dudes again. Austin Romaine from Kansas State. I think you got an upgrade at quarterback in Brendan Sorsby. Okay. I'm not as high on him as a lot of people, but I do think he's an upgrade over Morton. All right. You brought in a couple receivers. You got Kenny Johnson from Pitt, Malcolm Simmons from Auburn. Like, you got some dudes, man. And I think they set themselves up to possibly run the Big 12 once again. Okay. And Texas. Okay. I'll touch more on Texas on the approach to the portal here in a minute. But Cam Coleman, all right, Rasheem Biles, Siani, Hollywood Smothers, okay, another one of these portal mayhem guys, okay. They brought in the big names, okay, and that team looks tremendous on the front line, okay. In terms of depth chart and starters, that they are that type of team, man. They are a national championship contender on paper easily, okay, right here in January. And LSU, they landed some big names too, and I'll touch again on them here in a minute. But you bring in Sam Leavitt, one of the better quarterbacks in the portal class. Okay, you bring in Jordan Seaton, and I mean there's a plethora, multiple receivers, plethora of players with Lane Kiffin. All right, and I think he did honestly a pretty decent job at rebuilding the offensive line. Considering you got Jordan Seaton and a few others, you rebuilt your offensive line that all left, and I mean your offensive line wasn't the best last year either. Okay. And then teams like A&M, A&M had the number 3 class, according on 3, and they retained a lot of their players, okay? And they added good players, okay? They added solid contributors who could become really great players, I think, all right? And that leads me into this, the approach to the portal, okay? So what approach are you going to take? Okay, you're going to be like Texas Tech. You got to spin big, get whoever you want type team, and you're going to be these teams that treat it and you like, hey, we need a guy here and we need a guy here. And let's go get 2 or 3 and see which one produces more. Or let's go bargain shop. Or we need a guy here. Let's go get. Just go get this guy. He doesn't have to be the top player, but you need a role player right here. Let's go get him. Okay. And what type of team are you going to be? You're going to be like Texas. Okay. Felt like Texas traded depth for star power. All right. You went and got Cam Coleman, like I said. You did lose the fringe 4 or 5-star guy in Jamie French. He's off to Michigan. And then you had multiple other players in the portal. Parker Livingstone was one of your starting wide receivers. I believe he was the number 3 wide receiver on your team. But you got Cam Coleman. So, like, you traded, I think, depth for star power, for starters, okay? You traded your 2s and 3s for 1s. And that is on paper, their starters are elite, man. But what happens if those guys get hurt? How much of a drop off of talent do we see? Okay, because now your guy who is going to be your second string is gone. Now you're relying on the third string, and it could be. In college football, I don't think there's as big of a drop off. Okay, let me rephrase that. In the pros, when a starter gets hurt, you got a pro replace them. In college, when a starter gets hurt, you don't really know what you have replacing him. Okay. Like, yeah, it could be another NFL type player replacing an NFL player. Or you can have a guy that's never going to sniff the NFL. Okay. And how much does that affect your team if you do have injury? I think if Texas is healthy, they are a true national championship contender and they could be very scary. Okay. The biggest question was the offensive line. They got Siani. They bring back Gooseby. You're probably kicking Baker inside. They bring in the guard from Western Kentucky and another one from Oregon State. You got the center back. Like, it could be Texas could be very nice. Okay, and if they're healthy, if they're not healthy, then how does this team look? Those are big questions. They go for anybody, but especially them because I feel like again they traded the star power, or they traded depth for star power. This is an easy way to kind of say it. All right. And they can still have depth. Just because you lost this depth here does not mean the other guys in that room are not better. And that might be why them guys left long before you brought these other guys in. Okay. And now I'll go to their rival, Texas A&M. Okay. Texas A&M with a whole different approach. They wanted to retain players. They retained talent. Okay. And then they just added contributors. And that's not to say these guys are just going to be just good players. Like Anto Saka could be huge. Tawfiq Byard could be huge. Ricky Gibson could be huge. Isaiah Horton could be huge. They went and got what they needed. Okay. They didn't go overspend on all these guys. They were like, hey, we need this guy here and this guy here. Let's go get them. And they attacked the portal and they got what they wanted. They didn't overspend. Did they get beat out on Coleman? Absolutely. Anybody who says A&M wasn't trying to get Coleman or whatever, all these, that's a lie. They were. Okay. And then Indiana also retaining and replacing what you lost. Like I touched on a minute ago. Hoover, Marsh, okay? You lost your quarterback, you lost your wide receiver. Cool. We got another one and another one. Okay. There's a lot of different approaches to it. Okay. And the new coaches, man. Okay. Portal in, portal outs, portal gains, portal losses, like that type of thing. I'm just going to touch on the new coaches. All right. This is how much your team can change basically in a month span. All right. James Franklin in Virginia Tech. 25 players coming in, 22 going out. Okay. LSU. I said I touched on them again in a minute. Yeah. 40 players coming in, 33 going out. You're bringing in 40. You're bringing in almost half a new roster. Almost half. 105 on the roster, and you're bringing in 40. Okay. That's not counting the high school recruits, too. So basically, over half your roster is going to be brand new guys. Can be good, can be bad. Arkansas, same boat. 41 guys coming in with the new coach from Memphis, okay? 41 coming in, 38 going out. UCLA, 41 coming in, 27 going out. Florida, Summerall's bringing in 27 guys, 29 left, okay? I think he did a great job in retaining Jaden Ball, Dallas Wilson. Like, those were big-time retains for him, okay? And I'm really excited what he can do at Florida. I'm not going to lie to you, okay? Ole Miss, okay? Kiffin spurned him for LSU. You promote the DC, and you got 28 coming in, 21 going out. You lose Caden Lee, probably getting back Trinidad Chambliss because as we touched on earlier, there's no rules. So, hey, I want to come back. So, I guess he's coming back. All right. Even though I don't agree with it, man, you might be QB1 in this draft class, okay? I would go. But, anyways. Whew. And Cal, okay? 31 coming in, 35 going out. This is insane. But not as insane as these. Not as insane as these, man. Okay. Oklahoma State. Okay. Just North Texas State at this point. Okay. 54 players coming in, 64 leaving. Okay. Over half the roster changed. Well over half. Iowa State. You bring in Matt Campbell. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Iowa State, you lose Matt Campbell. My bad. Force of habit. Because he was there for so long. Yeah, Iowa State. 48 guys coming in because you lost 54 of them because Matt Campbell left and went to Penn State, and Penn State's bringing in 37. They're losing 46. That is wild. Okay, the transfer portal is crazy, right? It gives as it takes. Man, oh man. And all of that, I mean, it leads me to this: how are teams going to build themselves? Okay, are they going to focus more on high school? Are you going to focus more on the portal? Okay, how are you going to build your team? All right. And we've already seen multiple teams do it multiple different ways. All right. So let's say, are you going to reload through the portal? Are you going to be a portal team? Like, hey, screw high school. We're just going to recruit the portal. And we're just going to reload through that every single year. How does your team look? Like, you're going to go bring in juniors and seniors from other schools every single year. And can it be a recipe for success? A sustainable recipe for success. I think if you do that, you're relying solely on hitting on every single portal. All right. And I mean, it could be a great system and it could be a bad one. Okay. You got money to spend, spend it. Hit on the right players though. Or are you going to prioritize retention and retaining your talent in high school recruiting and developing these players? That's the thing you run into is, can you keep them? Like, it's not like the days of old when you're at Alabama and you're a 5-star and you're third string backup for 2 or 3 years, and then you come out and you're the starter and then you're an NFL draft pick. Those days are gone. Okay, that's when SEC held a severe talent advantage over everyone because they just stockpiled the talent. Now the talent is dispersed through NIL and the portal. Okay, so my third, like now, let's just gonna use Alabama for example. The third string at Alabama, there's a really good chance he's not competing of the third string from Alabama from 15 years ago. That's the type of difference the portal and NIL has made. Okay. And the Big Ten, like they're going to spend it. They're going to go get the guys they want to get, and they're getting those guys from the SEC. And now you look at like Texas Tech, they're getting those guys too. Okay. And then you're going to see Miami and the AC. I mean, I think the NIL and the transfer portal are leveling the playing field. And you're seeing it. I mean, the Big Ten's won the national championship 3 straight years now. Okay. We haven't had a repeat champion either. You went to Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana. All right. Whew. So you just kind of got to look at which ones you want to favor more. Or do you do both? Do you retain as much as possible and you add what you can? All right. My personal belief is that last one. I am going to retain as much as possible. Okay. That I need. All right. I want to retain my best players that I am developing, and then I want to go out in portal and hit the weak spots. Treat it like NFL free agency. Okay. My personal belief on all that is like you get your team needs. Get your team needs. What do you need? Let's fill it right here. So, in terms of an NFL team, when you go to the draft, you take the best possible player available. Regardless of position, you take the best player available because you filled your holes in free agency. So now you get the best possible player and you just plug and play wherever he's needed or whatever has to happen. So you're not sacrificing. So say your top player on the board is right here, but you're going to draft for need down here and he's number 4 on your board. I want the guy who's number 1 on my board. I don't want the guy who's number 4. I want the guy who I think is the best. And that's how I look at high school recruiting. I think you should just go get the best possible players that you can get. Okay? Go get the top players that you believe are the best players. I don't care what the 247 or on 3 rival, whatever you want to call them. I don't care what they have the guy ranked. Okay? He can be a 3-star in their eyes. He's a 5-star in that coach's staff's eyes. All right? You go get the best possible players you can get in high school recruiting. That's the way I think. And then in the transfer portal, like, okay, listen, we're going to have a hole at defensive end, and we're going to have a hole at safety. Okay, let's go get a defensive end and a safety. Okay, fill our holes. And then if one of these recruits, they either just came in or you have developed, beats them out, then they beat them out. That's what I would want. I want the guys I developed to beat the guys I'm bringing in out. That's what I want. Okay, because you got to look at it as, does this big portal money affect your high school recruiting? And I think it does. Okay, so right now, Team A brought in this big money left tackle, and he's going to be on campus for 2 years. And there's the number 1 offensive tackle in the portal, in high school recruiting. And now he may not play for 2 years. It's just an example. I just threw out a position. So now you're on the bench for 2 years because this school brought in that guy, and he beat you out the first 2 years. Okay, and then you don't get a chance to play till year 3. So why would I go there when I can go here and play and make the same money? Like, and then how much money are you allocating to the portal versus high school? And then the portal's outweighing this, and then high school you're not getting this, and now you're having to go back to reloading and rebuilding a team through the portal every year because you can't get the high school recruits because you allocated all this money to the portal. Or vice versa. You allocated all this money to high school recruiting, and you're like, damn, we're starting 3 or 4 freshmen this year because we don't have the money to pay anybody in the portal. Okay, and it could be things like that. Like, you're going to have to be smart with this. And I do think the position of GM now in college football is a well-needed position. All right, you need a CEO in all of this because it's chaotic. It's the Wild West. You're going to have to manage your money. You're going to have to do everything a certain way that fits your system and your team, or you're going to get burned. You can see teams be really good for 2 or 3 years, and then they might suck for 3 years, and they might be right back there. Okay. And then how do schools respond to that? Like, hey, we're going to go this route. We're going to be really good for 3 years, and then we might have a drop off because we're going to have to reload. But we'll be back. Okay. Well, you sucked for 2 years. Now you're fired. Okay. It's a guessing game, man. And what if you miss on this entire, like, hey, man, we spent money on these 5 guys, and those 5 guys come out and they're not there. Like, they just aren't it. Okay. Or they all get hurt. And is that a money well spent? No, it is not. It's a risky game to play. And I think Indiana, they executed the portal greatly. I mean, look what they did. 2 years, national champ. Like, that's how quickly he rebuilt the team. Playoff team in year 1, national champ in year 2. All right. And then you go look at these other teams, and they just lose their entire team, and then they're like done. All right. It's a dangerous game to play, and you got to be willing to play. You got to be willing to pay and play. All right. Because if you don't pay, Texas Tech, Texas, hell, LSU, they're going to come take your guys. But if you can't play, they're going to go somewhere else too. Right? And it's just, we got to get it under control. Simple as that. All right. No, we need controlled chaos. The NFL is controlled chaos. See, free agency is wild. It is chaotic, okay? But it is controlled. College football needs that. College football needs a governing body that actually knows what the hell they're doing. Because the NCAA it's just, there's no rules. We need something. All right, we need a standard, and we should have to be held to it, okay? Because like I touched on earlier, Luke Farrelly cannot be at Clemson and then get a tag, you want $1 million more? And then bam, con. I mean, Dabo Swinney has his quirks and his cringiness, but I credit him for calling out Ole Miss. Okay, I credit him for that, as he should. Okay, like he's messing with his football team. Hell yeah, I'm gonna say something. Okay, because there needs to be rules in place. There needs to be a governing body that can handle these things. And go ahead and just make Josh Pate, Nick Saban, somebody commissioner, and fix it all. All right, I'll be your assistant. Just throw me in there, man. Okay, we're not even going to talk about the schedule today. There's millions of things that need to be fixed, and thankfully, they didn't decide that playoff expansion was one of them. 12 teams is perfectly fine. Okay, you're going to be mad even if it goes to 16, and you're going to be mad that the 17 and 18th ranked teams got left out. You can't please everybody. So thank you for staying at 12 for now, and then it's going to be inevitable. It's going to happen. You're going to expand, but thank you, and hopefully you're shifting your focus to things that are more needed to fix at the moment. Okay, because the 12-team playoff is not something that you need to fix right now. You need to fix the chaos of the portal and coaches leaving the schedule. Like, you got to fix all of that before you fix the playoff. And so credit you for that if that's what you're doing. Okay, so, but after all that, okay, we give you a few teams that do excite me or interest me. Okay, these first two kind of really excite me, and these next few interest me. Indiana, touched on a minute, they really excite me. Okay, because I've seen what they do over the last 2 years. Okay, unselfish, hardworking. Do these new guys they're bringing in fit the system? Because you're going to have a new starting quarterback in Josh Hoover. You're going to have a new big-time receiver in Nick March. You bring in Brunner from Wisconsin. You got the Kansas State edges. Okay, athletic profile matches up there, 166, 162. They got production. How do they fit in that system? If these guys they're bringing in buy into the system, I said a minute ago, if they buy into the system, they become unselfish, and they are do-a-job type guys, which I feel like Signetti's like, yeah, I want do-a-job type guys. Okay, it shows. How good can Indiana be again? Because like I said earlier, Josh Hoover is a tremendous passer. Okay, now you got him in this scheme that they run, RPO scheme, quick. He came from the air raid one over at TCU. It could be very, very interesting. He has the receivers. This Indiana team could be very dangerous, and they could repeat again. Okay, I get they lose their D line, but they replaced them. How well did they replace them? We'll see. Okay, I can sit here and say what stars on a paper are, but I can't tell you what they're going to do in August until I see it. Okay, I can predict it, but you know how it goes. Then Texas. All right, I touched on them a minute ago, but I think if they are healthy, they're going to be very tough to beat. All right, like right now, they would be one of my front runners for the national championship. Arch Manning was not the problem. I know everybody wanted to say he was the problem, blah, blah, blah. Turn on the film. That offensive line was getting mauled. The dude got sacked. Just turn on the Florida game. You want to know why they lost the game? Turn it on. Turn it on, watch it. Watch that offensive line versus that front. Florida was bringing 4 guys and just smothering Arch. Smothering him. They couldn't pick up a sim pressure to save their life. They would bring 3 and have a spy, and Spy's getting sacked. Because there's just nothing. And like, does he make bad decisions? Did he make bad decisions, especially earlier? Yeah, he did. Did he have trouble throwing the ball earlier? Yeah, he did. I'd have trouble throwing the ball too if I was getting hit every play, basically. Like the offense line got mauled. So what do they do? Okay, you retain Trevor Gooseby, who's a potential first-round pick in the next draft. You bring in Siani, okay, and Baker, your right tackle, is probably kicking in the guard. And like a lot of times you do see improvement with guys who are failed tackles moving in the guard. You sometimes see improvement, a lot of improvement. Okay. Then you got the Western Kentucky Oregon State guard coming in. And they're bringing in experience and production on the offensive line. But you also brought in Cam Coleman. Right? You brought in the number 1 player to me in the portal in Cam Coleman. And what he could do for this Texas offense, then you got the explosiveness of Ryan Wingo. And then if one of their young guys can explode out, they could have a very, very nice offense. You bring in back Emmett Mosley. You get Hollywood Smothers. You struggled to run the ball last year, and that's in part due to the offensive line. But you upgraded running back. You got Hollywood Smothers. You got Relique Brown. You upgraded, okay? You upgraded the offensive line. You upgraded your backfield. You upgraded your receiving core. And in part, I think all of that is going to upgrade your quarterback, who also is a very good quarterback. All right? And he's going to reap the benefits of all this, man. Like, if they are healthy, that is going to be great. Great, 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 great. And on the defense side of the ball, you bring in, okay, you lose Anthony Hill. Okay, let's bring in Rasheem Biles. And then, it could be very, very interesting. Now, these teams, they're not really, well, one of them might be. They're not teams that just pop off the paper. And the first one for me is Cal. Okay? California. Jaren Sagopote. I hope I said that right. I really don't even know how to say it. Okay? We're going to call it the Cal quarterback, the lefty. Okay? The lefty gunslinger. He's back. Okay? You're bringing in Strong and Hendricks, the receiver. Strong from Rutgers, Hendricks from Ohio. You're bringing in the running back from Washington, Muhammad, a big power back with speed, man. This offense, they had moments where they looked so good last year, and then they had some bad moments. Like he had growing pains. He's a true freshman starter. He's going to throw some picks. He's going to make some mistakes. You bring in a defensive-minded head coach. All right. You bring in lots of talent on offense. I think Cal could really do something next year. I'm not saying they're going to win that championship. I think they could be a very, very tough team to beat, and they can give a lot of teams problems. Okay, because this offense is probably going to put up points. Okay, and then you got the defensive-minded head coach. I know he brought in a couple players from A&M. I mean, like I said, they brought in 31 football players. Okay, and what they do out there on Saturdays could be very impressive, I think. So that is a team to watch for me, and I'm going to keep my eye on. Because I really like what they did. And like I said, I mean, it's first-time head coach. Like, you get things like that. But you have the weapons in place to make a little bit of noise. So we'll see what they do. And now these two teams also, both brand new head coaches, but Oklahoma State. I mean, they brought in all these North Texas players. You bring in James Williams from Florida State. You got this offensive scheme. How does it fare in the Big 12? Okay. Like, I get it. They dominated the American Conference. Okay. Coach Morris dominated the American Conference with this offense and these players. How did they, like, the best team they played all year was Tulane, and they got beat by Tulane. Tulane and South Florida were the two best teams they played, and they got beat. Okay. You saw a lot of these South Florida players go to Auburn. So we'll see how they fare. But it goes back with this with Oklahoma State. How do these North Texas players fare playing big-time Power 4 football? I mean, because the Big 12 is no slouch, okay? Like, it is a far step up from American football, all right? So now you got the Big 12 conference with Mestamaker, with Hawkins, Wyatt Young. Like, how do they respond to playing Big 12 football? They could be damn good, okay? And they may not be. And it's a question of kind of not really how a G5 team would perform in a power conference, but we'll see how they improve and develop moving up. And I'm going to be really interested to watch, okay? Because Oklahoma State's kind of been a gutter. You get rid of the longtime coach Mike Gundy, and then you bring in a guy who's done a lot of good in his coaching career, and now he's bringing all of his luggage with him, okay? So we'll see how they perform in the Big 12. And then another team, this time, majority of these players are leaving the Big 12, is Penn State. All right, Matt Campbell comes into Penn State, and he kept a lot. I mean, they lost a lot of players, don't get me wrong, but he brought in, I feel like he is combining the best of Iowa State and Penn State. Okay, did he lose some impact guys? Absolutely. He lost Chance Coleman. He lost multiple dudes, but he also brought in the best of Iowa State and some. Okay, like I said, 37 players coming in. He did lose 46, but he brought in 37. He got his quarterback in Rocco Beck. Rocco Beck is a solid quarterback. And if you watched Iowa State last year, they were really good. They were a good football team, but they got shredded with injuries, man. Shredded by injuries. And like they were told they beat Iowa, close game. You saw what Iowa did with Indiana. You saw what Iowa did with Oregon. And Iowa State beat them too. Iowa State beat Iowa. Okay. And then I think they were sitting at like 5-0, I believe. I want to say they were 5-0. And then the injury bug just depleted them. The Cincinnati beat them, and they just kind of fell apart from there. And then, but Rocco Beck, Jeremiah Cooper, Brahmer, dude, they got the dogs, okay? And you're bringing the best of Iowa State and combining it with Penn State and those facilities and that type of program, you could have something there. Will it be immediate? I don't know, but it really could be, and it could be special early. Matt Campbell could get on the board early, and we'll see. It's very interesting to me. All right. Whew. Well, listen, these videos are going to be a lot shorter. I mean, it's off season. I'm going to have to find stuff to talk about. But yeah, I mean, we'll start going over some more recruiting stuff. But I know I took a few weeks off. I think it was like a week and a half. Today it's 20 something. Yeah. I took a little bit off. I live in Texas. We just had a freeze. Like, just straight ice. We got screwed. Not even really snow. Very little snow. Very little. Poquito. Just a ton of ice. Ice everywhere. Okay, it was like Elsa just went on Frozen. I have to watch a lot of Frozen. I have a toddler. She loves Frozen. Okay, we listen to, I got Tony Box over there. We listen to Elsa a lot. Let It Go rings in my head. Okay. But, I mean, oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait till football season. I won't lie to you. Okay. I'm going to hit up a couple spring games this spring, and man, I'm going to tell you what I think. Tell me what you think. Let me know in the comments. Gripes, agreements, anything. Okay. Tell me what you think. Ask me questions and I'll answer them. Screw it. We'll make videos on questions. Okay. You just got to send them my way. But thank you for tuning in to the NukeZone. We are back, baby. I'll have another video next week. I'm trying to drop them weekly. One a week. And then also, if you're an Aggie fan, tune into the Aggie Juice. Okay. My other one. All right. But thank you for tuning in.